All right. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. So, um, as I said before, we're going to proceed with giving some technical lectures from now until the end of the semester, because this is what you will need from now till the end of the semester. So, what I want to do today is show you a bit of just a bit of programming, very specific to Unreal Engine. Now, when I say programming, it's nothing um, nearly as difficult as sitting down in front of a C++ console and trying to program that. Um, it sort of makes more sense than that because it's visual. Basically, we're going to do blueprints and we're going to calculate some numbers, okay, and give conditions and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you want to follow along, um, you can open Unreal Engine and create a first-person game. Okay, so what we're going to do now is create a scoring system. Okay, a very basic scoring system. And once we're done with that, I don't think we'll do this this class, but next class we're going to see how we can take the information from the scoring system and put it on a user interface or apply it to things in the game. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I have a gun here. Okay, so it's in the default game. It's in the default first-person game. As I said, if you want to follow along, just create a first-person game, a simple first-person game. I have this gun here. The gun has projectiles, right? So if I play this, I can go to the gun, grab it, and then shoot. Okay, now I want to create some targets uh, for I want to create some targets for to hit. And every time I hit a target, I want it to add numbers, okay, to it. And then we're going to put conditions. So the first thing I want is to have a target to hit. Okay, before we start, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any concerns? Do you want me to wait until you create a game? أي شيء؟ صباح الخير. طيب ما حد أعطاني وجه زين. أوكي شكرا هند. أوكي فواز. نعم عايشة. رفعتي يدك والله بالغلط.
لا بالغلط.
زين أشوى. أوكي. Okay. So I want to create a target. Now this target can be anything. It's just a blueprint. So the reason why it's inside the blueprint is because it's interactive, and anything interactive in my game needs to be in a blueprint so I can interact with it. Okay. So in my content drawer, I'll go to here, first person, blueprints, and I will create a blueprint. I'll create a blueprint, and as usual, it's just an actor blueprint, and I will call it target. So BP for blueprint, target. Okay, and I'll open it up. basically you can put anything here. You can put a cube, a mesh that you import from somewhere, whatever you want. Okay, anything, any object at all. So to do that, I want to add a static mesh, right? So same as we did before in blueprints, I will add a static mesh, and I'll call it SM, and then I don't know, my target or something. Okay, or just target. Let's call it just target. Target. Okay. SM is for شو اسمه شيء mesh, static mesh. Okay, and within that, I can basically select any mesh that I want, anything in here. Okay, a box, anything you want, a box, a sphere, anything you want. You place it there. I happen to have, see, I happen to have a monkey from Blender. Where's it gone? Ah, cool. So I'm going to get my monkey in here. You can use anything within the game. Okay, I want to use my monkey. Okay, so now I have this monkey that I imported from Blender. This is the default Blender monkey. Okay, and I'll use that as my target. Again, you can use any mesh that you have, a cube, anything you want. Okay, so now that I imported that monkey, whatever you want, I'll go there and look for it. So here's my monkey. I'm not going to scale it down. I'm not going to do anything with it. Okay, and that's it. That's my target. Compile and save, and I will place it. And I will place it in my scene. Okay, so this is the blueprint, not the actual mesh, but the blueprint. So BP target, turn it around. No, maybe scale it a little bit. And I'll duplicate it. So Control C, Control V. I'll make 3 copies of it. Okay, so now I have these 3. Okay, maybe I'll move them to one side like that, so I can hit them easier. Okay, so now I have these 3 targets that I can hit, and these are interactive. So if I hit them, then there is some interaction is going to happen, and that's why I put them in a blueprint. Okay, so I'll open this blueprint, and let's start looking at some programming concepts. Okay, so the first thing we talk about is we'll go to the event graph in this thing here, and I want the trigger event to be when this target is hit. Okay, and I don't know if you remember, we have all these events here, ready-made events. So in the past, we used begin overlap, for example, end overlap, which means when you have a collision space or object, then you use this. For now, the hit function is a built-in function within Unreal Engine, so I can say on component hit. Okay, so the event is on component hit. Now, the way we test things in programming is that we output some text. Okay, if it works, then we replace the text with actual things, actual components, actual events. Okay, let me show you. So on component hit, if this component is hit, if this target is hit, then print string, okay, which is this thing, print string, say, I don't know, is hit or something. Okay, let's see, can't zoom anymore. There. Okay, so it's a node called print string. What it does is it displays some message on the screen. Okay, it's only for development. I'll change the color of this thing to red because blue on blue, the sky is blue, so it won't show. So change it to red, and you can have a duration. So duration now is 2 seconds. It will stay on screen for 2 seconds. Okay. So if any of these targets is hit now, compile and save. If any of these targets are hit, then you will get a message on the screen. You should get a message on the screen. It's blue. Unfortunately, it didn't change to red for some reason. Let me see why. مو وايد مهم يعني بس نشوف ليش ايش صاير. ما غيرته اصلا. I didn't press OK. Okay, so compile and save and play and pick up the gun and shoot. And as you can see on the left side, left top corner of the screen, it's every time I hit a target. Okay. Okay, it says is hit. Okay, any questions? Why it's up? No? Okay. Okay, now the thing about this is that is hit is is an event that is triggered by anything. Okay, if anything hits those objects, then it will activate it. So let me see if I can do this just to demonstrate. I'm not going to hit it, but I'm going to go and collide with it. Can you see what's happening? I'm not hitting it, I'm colliding with it, which means it's not specific to the projectile. It's even the player, the gun, anything that hits it, it says is hit. Now, I don't want to do that, which brings me to my next point. Now, in Unreal Engine, you create blueprints within objects, within game modes, within UIs, within all sorts of things. And you create variables, you create functions within each one. What if you want to call a variable or event or function from one class to another class? Which means, what if I want to call the projectile and only the projectile from the gun class, from the first person? So the first person player has a gun within its blueprint and it has a projectile. I only want the projectile. And this node, and we will use this a lot today, this node is called cast2. So I'll right click and say cast2 first person projectile. First person projectile is that blue ball. Okay, so I'm only calling this. So the first thing that happens is on component hit. This is the event. So when this component, the monkey, the target, is hit, check to see if it's a first person projectile, and then print string. Otherwise, nothing will happen. And this needs an input, and the input here, it's not important to know now all the details about it, but it's other actor, which means a specific actor that is not here within this blueprint. Okay? So because it's not in this blueprint, I'm calling it. Okay, I'm calling. Okay, the better way to understand it is I'm calling another blueprint to sit within this one. Okay, so there is a blueprint called first person projectile. هذا في واحد. I can go and search for it and open it. So this exists, this blueprint, and I just brought this blueprint in here. Okay, so on component hit, if it hits other actor, which means outside of this blueprint, if it hits first person projectile, then print string is hit. Otherwise, nothing will happen. Let's compile and save this and play. Okay, I'll just go and try to hit it. See, nothing happens, right? If I go back and hit it now, you can see that it only displays if it's hit by the projectile. Okay, and this works for anything. Basically, it works for begin overlap, end overlap, all these events. You can sort of make exceptions. So only this thing, when only this thing is overlapping, is hitting, is colliding, then trigger an event, which in this case, just right is hit. Okay, so this is the idea of casting, and we will use it quite a bit today. So far, do you have any questions? Is there anything difficult about this? ما سوينا يعني شيء وايد، كل اللي سويناه is this on component hit بالtarget اللي هو في هاي the monkey, which is my target, within its blueprint, I triggered an event on component hit. Okay, so when it's hit by anything, basically by anything, not by a projectile, by anything, right on this on the screen is hit. Okay, that's all we did. And then instead of being hit by anything, we specify that it needs to be hit by this blueprint. Okay? زين في أي سؤال before we proceed? Is there any question? Any questions at all? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sure.
How did you pick up the gun in the first place?
Just you collide with the gun, so you go near the gun and it just automatically takes it.
Okay, I had a huge issue with this في my prototype. Do you have any like a tutorial you can recommend أو شيء?
Sure. See, the easiest thing to do is to copy the nodes from the gun blueprint, right, to whatever it is that you're doing, because it's already there. But if you want, I'll send you a tutorial about picking up things.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay. I don't know if I don't يعني حدي ملتهي اليوم يعني. So if I don't, just remind me, send me, yeah, please, email
Thanks.
or chat, Teams chat, whatever. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is casting, okay, which is bringing in an existing blueprint within another blueprint, and then having access to all its functionality. Okay. So now I want to start doing increments. So I want to create a scoring system. Every time a target is hit, it adds 1 to my score. Okay? So I'm going to do that now. However, the question is, where do I put this? Where do I put this code? And this is where we get a bit specific to Unreal Engine. Now, scoring in general, I'm only doing numbers. I'm not. I don't have any objects that I'm interacting with, right? So the only thing I have is just adding numbers. The function itself is that I want a variable called score, and I want it to add numbers. That's all I wanted. That's all I want. The reason being, and wait, wait, بقول جملة غلط فضربت break. Okay, so all I want is somewhere where I can add numbers, regardless of what is being hit. Okay. If I put the scoring within the blueprint of the monkey, of the target, then I have a problem because the scoring will be only specific to the target that is a monkey. But if I have other targets that look different than the monkey, but I want them to add to the score. So for example, monkey is, you hit the monkey, you get a point. You hit, I don't know, a banana, you get a point. Then you will have a problem that the scoring is only specific to the monkey. So this is where I need to create something that is called UMG layer. Iman, نعم. We're not doing user interface now. Okay, we're doing just scoring, so pure math. All right. Okay. So what I want is something called a global function, something that happens behind the scenes in the game, and I can call it from any blueprint. Okay, I can call it from any blueprint and add to it, and it will be always the same container, the same number that is being added to. I don't want multiple variables. Each one is called score وكل واحد قاعد يخلي score بروحه. Okay, I want one, and I want it global that can be accessed from every blueprint that I have, including even user interface groups, blueprints. Okay, فبعدين مو اليوم، يمكن الحصة الجاية بنسوي السكورينج واللي على الشاشة يطلع. Okay, and I want to get that number in that blueprint as well, the same number. Okay, so I need something global that can be accessed from everywhere, just for addition. Best. Okay, usually this happens in a component called game mode. Okay, so every game you create in Unreal Engine comes with a default game mode. In this case, it's this one, BP first person game mode. Okay, and it has its own things. There are settings in it and everything. Usually, I mean, even with walkthroughs that I created before, I remember that I always had to create a new game mode, okay, to have my own settings in them. And it's not there aren't many settings in this, by the way, so it doesn't really make a difference. So I will create my own because I don't want the default one to be affected, just in case I need it. Okay. So I'm going to create a new game mode, and again, I'm doing this because I want programming functions, variables to be stored somewhere global. Okay. So I'm creating a new one. So I'll right-click and go Blueprint class. And now instead, I want to create a game mode base. And I'll call this my game mode. Okay, you can call it anything. Okay, I'll call it my game mode. Now, for this to work, I'll open up my blueprint, the only blueprint that I have, which is the monkey target. I need to change the default pawn class. Okay, let's go to world settings. Okay, I'll go to world settings. Here and change the pawn class. Yeah. No. World settings. سيفتها أنا. Okay, compile and save this. Okay. Okay, first thing is I need to change it within the game mode. The game mode blueprint that I created. Sorry about that. The game mode that I created. I need to change the default player controller class. راح. اكو حول زين اكو the default the default pawn class. I'm going to change this to first person character. Okay, because there's currently it's a spectator pawn. Okay, so I want it's a default pawn. So I want it to be first person character, which is the character that is playing the game. هذا اللي يروح حق المسدس ويشيله. That's the default. This is the blueprint that represents the first person character. Okay, so I have to change it within the game mode blueprint that I just created. That's the first thing I need to do. And I also need to change it now that I have done that. I also need to change it to change the game mode that is used in the game in the world settings to my game mode that I created. Okay, so here where it says game mode override in the world settings, I'll change this to game mode. Okay, again, I created a game mode blueprint, which is just a global container where I can make all sorts of functions that I can access from all sorts of places in the game. Okay, global functions. So in the world settings, I'm telling the game now in the world settings to use my game mode. When game mode override, write it. My game mode, to use my game mode, the one that I just created. Okay. And I want the actual game mode that I just created to change the default pawn class from default pawn or whatever it was to BP first person character, because that's the character that is playing the game. Okay, so things will work because I just created a new game mode. Okay, so I need to tell the Unreal Engine to use it everywhere, to use it globally, and then I need to tell the game mode to use the character that is playing the game. Is this clear? والله شو اسمه صار شيء فيدباك. الو نعم، لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. إيمان أوكي، بس خلاص فدام إيمان قالت أوكي خلاص يلا بنمشي الموضوع. If there is something that you don't understand, if you don't understand anything at all, okay, let me know. Okay, we'll just proceed then. Okay, now in my current game mode, now I want to make that function that adds numbers, that only adds numbers. It doesn't do anything, it just adds numbers. Okay, so I'll go to, this is my game mode. مشغل اللعبة. I'll go to the event graph of the game mode that I just created. And I will start constructing my scoring system. Okay, but before that, we need to know how to create variables to store numbers. Now, many of you have never done any programming at all, so you might not know what a variable is. Now, a variable is just a container that you put a value in. That's it. That's all it is. The advantage of it is that once a value is stored within that container, you can call it anytime you want. Okay, you can change it, you can reset it. Okay, and it becomes available. This container with whatever is in it becomes available everywhere you want it to be available all across your game. Okay, so an example of these variables, the variables are here. You can add variables here. So let's just add a nothing variable now, just a test one. Okay, so I'll press this plus sign next to variable to add one, and I'll add something. I'll call it my variable or my var, whatever. Okay, and I can change. Every variable has a type, and these are the types of variables available in Unreal Engine. Okay, so these are the basic ones. Boolean, byte, integer, 64, float, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So the main ones that we need to know are Boolean. A Boolean variable can store either true or false. يعني الفاليو اللي يكون داخله بيكون إما true أو بيكون false. And that's what I have access to. I can change it, I can make it true, I can make it false, and then access it from anywhere I want. It's a container. Integer is what is called in mathematics a whole number. Okay, رقم كامل. أو رقم صحيح قصدي, which means it has no fractions. That's all it does. And then you have float, which is a number with fractions. And then you have string, which is characters, letters. Vector is three values, x, y, z, and so on. For now, let's do integer because it's a scoring system. So I want whole numbers. أرقام صحيحة. ما بي فيها كسور ما بي شيء. يعني اذا ضربت على السبال بيحسب لي واحد, ما بيحسب لي نص مثلا او ثلاث ارباع, يحسب لي واحد. Okay, so my var integer, and the way they work, these integers, first of all, if you see here on the right, it says default value, and I can't set a default value for it, and that's because it says please compile the blueprint. Okay, I compiled the blueprint. Now I have access to this. This is the default value. This is the starting value of this variable. This is the
دكتور
value I'm
صوتك صار
storing.
فضائي مرة واحدة.
الحين اوكي؟ لا؟
يس الحين صار اوكي.
زين. All right, okay. So yeah, let's go back to that. So this is the default value of a variable is what gets stored, what gets stored initially in this container. Okay, so how can we access this? I can just drag this on here, and I have two things that will happen. It will ask me either to get this variable or to set this variable. Get means give me the current value that is stored in this container, in this variable. Set means I want to change the value stored in this container. So I want to give it a new value. That's all it is. Okay? So I'm going to get whatever is in it. What's in it now is 0 because the default value is 0. So I can change this to, I don't know, 50 or something. Okay? I can change this to 50. And I'll say, well, here is an event. Already made event here, event begin play. This is just to demonstrate, okay? So event begin play, and I'm going to print string like I did earlier. So wait, print string. And I want it to print whatever is stored in this variable. Now this node will appear. That's because this is a number and this is a string, which is text, okay? And this automatically converts this number to text. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you need it to be converted. It does it for you. And same thing here. I'm going to do this red, and I don't know why they don't make it red by default. Okay, so now as soon as I start the game, and I'll make it stay for 5 seconds. As soon as I start the game, now it will print whatever is stored in my var, which is my variable in this container. And what is stored currently in it is this value, 50. Okay? So I'll compile it and save it. Start the game and look at the top left-hand side. I know it's small, but you know, whatever. What can I do? So there, 50. It says 50 here. And that's because I told it to print whatever is in the thing. And the event was begin play. Okay? And our okay. Any questions about this? Okay. Now, I want this to add 1, okay? Not on begin play. I don't want anything here. I want it to add 1. And what you can do with this is you can just do plus plus, okay? Or do number +1, whatever. But plus plus gives you an automatic increment. Okay? This gives you an automatic increment. So this will be +1 or plus whatever is in it. And then it will get converted to a string, and it will do that. That's all I need to do. However, I need to call this somewhere else. Okay, I need to call this in my target blueprint. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete all of this stuff. Okay, and I'm going to delete this variable as well because it was just a test variable. And I'm going to add a new variable and call it current score. And this variable is going to be an integer. Now, this is a variable that I'm going to get, compile, set the default value to 0, which is called current score, and do plus plus increment integer, and that goes here. Okay, so now this is the thing that I want access to anywhere in the game. Okay, whether I will have access to it, whether I am in a UMG, whether I'm in any blueprint at all, I have access to this number because I placed it in a game mode, which is, as I said, a global thing where I can store everything that I need to access for globally. Okay, now this will do nothing. I can't call this because I need an event here. I need something called a custom event here. Think of it this way. A custom event is a function. Okay, for people who studied programming, you create a function with a name somewhere here, you do all the programming, and then you just call the name of this function and it will execute all the code. That's all it does. Okay, so I need a name for this. A name is basically a custom event. Here in Unreal Engine, it's a custom event. Look, I don't want to use the word function a lot because function in programming means something else. But for now, for us to understand it, it's just a bunch of code. I'm naming a bunch of code that I want to call somewhere else. So I can have multiple events here and call each one whenever I want it. Okay, so right click and say custom event. Oh. Add custom event. I'll call this add score. Right, I'll call this add score. So when this event is called when this event is called anywhere else, it will add 1 and then it will print string. Okay? Whenever this event is triggered, and I'll show you how to trigger it now. Whenever this event is triggered, add score, it will add 1 to this variable, and then it will print string. Okay? So this is the prep work that we have. We're done with this. I'll compile it and save it. There is nothing to test here. Now I can go back to my BP target, the monkey. And it says here that on component hit, right? On component hit. Now I want access to the stuff in my game mode, the thing that I created. So if I want access to anything outside of my blueprint, I'll do the same as this. I'll do cast to the blueprint, okay? So I'll show you how to do this the easiest way possible, which is I want to call my game mode first, okay? So get game mode, which is the current game mode in the world settings that I set in the settings. And then with that, I'm going to cast to the actual cast to my game mode, okay? The actual game mode that I created, and as my game mode, look at this. Add score is here, the custom function that I created, okay, is actually here. So I have access to this that I created in my game mode now, which is this one. So when I call this, say I'll double click it, and it will take me directly to it, wherever it is, to show me what's happening in it. Okay? So it's calling this. And what this is doing is that it's adding 1 to current score and then printing it. Okay, so let's try that. Hopefully, nothing, it works. Wait, it won't work obviously because I didn't put things together. So I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it. Yeah, so let's read this. On component hit by the projectile, look at my game mode that I created and run this function that adds 1 to a score that it has, and then display this no, don't display anything because wait, we don't need this. And the reason why I don't need this, sorry about that. The reason why I don't need print string is because when I go here, you can see that print string is already here. So it's already printing, okay? It's adding and printing, okay? Okay, so that's all it does. So let's try that. Let me just make sure of the default value of current score. It's 0. Okay, good. So it will add 1 to it. Back here, everything is compiled. Minimize it and play. We'll pick it up, and now let's look at the number that appears on the left-hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and that happened because it has access now to some global function, global variable that I created in my game mode, which is the best place to store all these events, all these custom events and everything. You can have 100 custom events, call them functions, okay, and call any one of them that you want within your within any blueprint that you have, whether it's an interface or a target blueprint, whatever. All right, okay. Now let's refine this a little bit. Let's see, let me see my notes. Okay. Okay, so let's refine this a little bit. Now, what if I want to do this? I want to hit 1, and it will give me a score of 1. But if I hit the same one again, I don't want it to add any because I've already hit it. Okay? So the maximum score I can get is 3 here because I have 3 targets. Okay? Again, what I want to do now is make this so it will if I hit 1, I can only hit it once. If I hit it again, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add anything. Okay, so what I need now is something new, which is let's open the blueprint. Where's it gone? So within the blueprint of the target, the monkey, I want to know, has this monkey been hit or not? Okay. So I need a variable here. I need a new type of variable. It's either hit or it's not hit. So what do you think the variable is going to be? The type of variable is going to be? If you don't know, don't worry about it. But what do you think is the type of variable going to be? So I'm going to say create a new variable in the monkey just to know if the monkey is being hit or not. So it has to be within the monkey blueprint. right? So I'll call it is hit. This is either true or false. It's not a number. It's either true or false. So what is the type of variable that I need? Does anybody know? الو انقطع الاتصال. الو شاطرة ايمان والله فنانة. شنو اللي all good؟ جعفر شنو اللي all good؟ شاطرة ايمان. Boolean, yes. Okay, now we used integer before and we said integer هو بس مجرد رقم صحيح. Okay, الحين the type of variable that I need is a boolean. A boolean can store two values. It's either true or false. Okay, and that's why I need a boolean because I want to check has the monkey been hit or not. Okay, simple as that. We get rid of this. Okay. Okay, so is hit, let me drag it in here. I'll get it and I'll compile so I can see. Look at this here. The default value of is hit is a checkbox. So it's either true or false. At the moment, it's false. I want it to start, when the game starts, I want it to be false. Because it just needs, because nothing has been hit. Okay, now what do you think? How would I do this now? What do I need to know to tell the computer if the thing is hit, then do something. If the thing is not hit, then do something else. Does anybody know what that's called? Well, it's called exactly what it sounds like. It's called an if statement. In programming, this is called an if statement. It's very simple. So if this happens, you're like having a conversation with the computer. If this happens, then do something, create a function, do whatever. If something else happens, then do something else. Okay? It's the simple conversation with the computer. Now the good thing is, this is very easy to do here in Unreal. So I'll just right click and I'll write if. And there is no if here. In Unreal Engine, it's called branch because it branches into two. Okay, it's either true or false. If true, do that. If false, do that. So it's so important, this thing in programming, that just by typing if, it actually gives you the correct name for it. Okay, so branch. Where do I want this? I want this as a condition to add the scoring. If the thing is not hit, if the target is not hit, if the condition is if it's false, add 1. If it's true, don't do anything. Okay? So by default, this thing is set to 0, which is not hit. Okay? Let's construct the sentence here, the programmatic sentence. on component hit. So when the monkey is hit by a projectile from this blueprint, check to see, so branch, check to see if this variable is false. Okay, check to see if this variable is false or true. If it's true, don't do anything. But if it's false, what should you do? What should happen if it's false? Logically, can you tell me? Can anybody tell me what should happen logically if it's false? Of course, I want to add 1 to it. I want to add 1. But before I add 1, there is something that needs to happen to this variable. At the moment, it's false. If it's hit, what should it be? What should it turn to? Come on. لا. الو. لا. Okay. Now, I don't know if you're listening to me. I don't know if you're here or not. Okay. شكرا فواز. جعفر ويش قول. Yes, here. Okay. زين صدقتكم. Okay. Again, so this thing here is nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just a number. It's either 0 or 1. It's either true or false. Okay. هذا is hit. هذا. Okay. It's either true or false. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just a container with a piece of information stored in it. That's all. At the moment, it's false. Aku. It's false. There's no checkbox. So the default value is false. When the monkey is hit by the projectile, lasfar, I'll check the condition. If the condition is false, then add, right? Then we need to add 1. But before that, I need to tell it to turn this from false to true. لأن الكومبوننت أنا ضربته له فالحين عقب ما ضربته لازم يصير true. So if this condition is false and I hit it, change this to true and add 1. So next time I hit it, the new value is true. بيتغير هذا. Okay, that's because I'll drag this in here and I will set it to true. Okay, so it's not a difficult idea, يعني. Just a bit of logic. There. So once it's hit, I'll check the condition. It starts with false. Okay? And if the condition is false, which it is, I will change this from false to true because it has been hit. فخلاص الحين is hit صار yes is hit. فبخليه true. نعم. Hey. Okay, and then I will add 1. Now, next time I hit it, next time this runs, ضربته مرة ثانية بهاي الأصفر البروجكتايل هذا بينعاد. بس الحين الفاليو تغير. كان false صار true حق هذا الأوبجكت. فالحين is hit ما بيكون false بيكون true, so it will go here to this, to true, and it will do nothing. فما بيزيد عليه أكثر. Do you understand the logic? إنزين. Okay. Good. So so let's check this. Compile, save, and of course, it will call the same function that will print on the screen and so on. Okay, so it picks up the gun. هذا واحد. قاعد أضربه ما يتغير. If I hit this, it will give me a score of 2, and nothing will happen. No, neither from this one or this one. If I hit this one, it will give me 3. Okay, and nothing more than that. Okay, I think, yeah, I think that's enough for today. Right, okay, so just a general question now. If I want to access this number now in an interface blueprint حق طلعت حق بدل ما السكور يطلع احمر صغير يطلع بكتابه عدله يعني. From what we learned today, which node of these should I use to have access to this number in an interface widget blueprint? God damn it, am I that bad يعني? Well, yes. Yes, Iman, yes. We can cast from game mode, okay, and get access to this number, to the score number in anywhere I want, okay? See, if you cast, شوف هنا بكتب current score, okay? When you cast to game mode, I have access to all its variables and all its functions. So I can get current score له أكل variable اللي سويته اللي اسمه current score there. I can have access to it here, and I can have access to it anywhere. Yes, you can. Absolutely. And I am going to introduce timers as well next class. I just want you to understand this, but I am going to introduce a timer for this same thing. Okay, and I'll show you how to put it in an interface as well. Okay, and that's exactly, by the way, how you should do it, Bilal. Okay, you should. A timer is a global thing, and you should have it in a game mode, and you can access it anywhere you want. If you put it specifically in a specific blueprint, sometimes it's difficult to cast to that blueprint. But in a game mode, everything is public, everything is accessible.
دكتور عندي سؤال.
تفضلي.
إذا أنا my game إنه when they collect items it adds like a star to the menu مثلا أو كنا
Yes.
menu pops up أو كنا في is it the same idea ولا هاي شوي غير؟
It's exactly the same idea. It's exactly the same idea. Any scoring system, this should be, I mean, this is very simple, but this should be the core of any scoring system. It needs to be, the calculation needs to go in the game mode, and then you can access that to affect the game. So خلينا نقول مثلا لين وصل إلى 5. You want to trigger something, an animation or something that happens. Okay? So you can do that in a blueprint. and then هاي الستارز اللي تطلع هذه في UMG عدل هذه في user interface blueprint.
Yes.
So you can access
Yes.
that number in the blueprint. So when it's 1, display 1 star. When it's 2, display 2 stars. Display the graphic that has 2 stars. Right?
شوي ضعت الحين آخر شيء هني ما فهمت this last part.
Okay. الحين أنا عندي access حق هذه الفاريبل اللي فيها الرقم مال السكور صح؟
إيه.
موجود في الجيم مود. So as I said, because I have access to it, I can put it in a blueprint that creates animations مثلا. اوكي ما له علاقه باي شيء بس يسوي انيميشنز وصل 5 يطلع ما ادري ينفجر شيء مثلا.
اوكي
انزين بالنسبه حق ونفس هذا الرقم عندي اكسس عليه في ويدجت بلوبرنت اللي هو اليوزر انترفيس اللي بيكون فيه ستارز.
Yes.
اوكي فاقول له مثلا لما يوصل الرقم لواحد put a star or a graphic whatever the graphic is طلع لي هذه الصوره make it visible.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and then limit it to, I don't know, 5 or something. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
okay, no problem. So this is the idea. This is the idea behind it, and you should organize. If you have a scoring system, you should organize the core of your system this way. Okay, and the more you practice with this, the more you will know it. You will know what to do with it. But it's basically, it doesn't get much more complicated than this. The complication happens is when you say what to do next. Okay? So for example, we arrived here to add score, and that's it. It will add the score and it will display it. No, I can add more stuff here. I don't know, spawn a new character here. Okay? I don't know, make a door open. Whatever. Okay, so once you're done with adding all this score, I can go here and have another if statement to say that if the current score is more than 3, then display a message, right? Make visible a user interface that says you won. I can continue here. I can continue all the functions here. صح? So that's how useful it is. Okay, now I don't want to bother you more with this. I know that probably most of you haven't seen any programming before in their lives, so I don't want this to be difficult, but I wanted to introduce you to how these things work rather than give you I don't know, introduction to programming, a useless introduction to programming. Yeah. Zane, any questions? Any other questions? Okay, now this session is recorded. So if you want to go back to it at any point, go back to it. Unfortunately, Moodle is not working, so I can't upload anything there. If you want, create this, and by next class, we're going to continue to build on this, so I don't have to do this again. Okay, we'll continue to build on it, create user interface, and do all sorts of things, answer your questions, create functionality based on this simple scoring system. Yeah. Okay, إذا لم تكن لديكم أي أسئلة وأي أشياء, please practice this, and in the meantime, anything you want, send email, send هذاك الشيء, Teams, whatever. Okay, and we will see you. إحنا week 6 الحين. الأسبوع الجاي واللي بعده ما في. So we'll go back to it next 2 weeks or something. يلا نراكم في الحلقة القادمة إن شاء الله. من لحظة إيه نراكم في لحظة لا حد يطلع لا حد يطلع باخذ الغياب. لحظة حصلت طريقة حق الغياب. طقة واحدة بس. وين راحت؟ اكو داونلود اتندنس ليست. شيء عجيب. وين راحت؟ اكو. بس ابيكم تشوفون هاي اللقطة اللي هني. زين مثلا شوفوا رزان مثلا جويند ولفت جويند مرة ثانية. زين كله يبين عجيب. احمد جويند لفت جويند طلع ما عجبه الوضع طلع.
موجود. ايه
هذا زين احسن شيء احسن اختراع شفته في حياتي ما ادري ليش ما قالوا لنا عنه. زين ومتى طلع ومتى دخل وفي شيء عجيب 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 عجيب. المهم بس كنت ابي اراويكم هذا الشيء. anyway يلا see you next time. وين راحت؟ ريم. وين ريم؟ ريم. ريم.
Yes, أنا هنا.
ريم. ريم. Okay. Can you call me as soon as we finish this please?
إيه أكيد.
Okay. يلا باي باي. نراكم إن شاء الله. باي باي. End meeting.